It is no longer news that Nigeria has made remarkable and realistic progress in the defense sector while securing the country in the last 3.5 years of the Buhari administration. And with the challenge of global terrorism that is threatening world peace, leaders at all levels around the world have continued to align and realign their thoughts in winning the war against terrorism, insurgency and other forms of insecurity peculiar to countries and regions. Nigeria has continued to resume a leading role in Africa as well as the West African region and has also become a major actor in world efforts to end terrorism. And of course, the Nigerian government through its defense ministry is working with all relevant key actors to achieve said goals. In recognition of Nigeria's unflinching effort in steering and championing African commitment to the determined fight against the scourge of insecurity, Nigeria's tireless Minister of Defense, Mansur Mohammed Ali, was invited to the Republic of Egypt by the Egyptian Minister of Defense for bilateral talks on how to upscale cooperation in winning the war against terrorism, which both countries are contending with. With Nigeria's defense sector reforms yielding desired results in the country's security architecture, Nigeria's Defense Minister Mansur Mohammed Ali has continued to interface with other countries of the world towards a more efficient and effective response armed forces whose professional service is mostly needed in the country's trying times. Nigeria and Egypt have a long-standing relationship dating back to many years of mutual cooperation beneficial to the well-being of both countries, covering socio-economic as well as military relations. The most recent of Nigeria-Egypt bilateral engagement was a 3-day official state visit of the Honorable Minister of Defense Mansur Mohammed Ali to Cairo, Egypt, on the invitation of the Egyptian Minister of Defense, General Ahmed Mohammed, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of Defense and Military Production, from the 6th to 8th of August 2018. With a lot of programs scheduled for the Honorable Minister of Defense, the first port of call was the Ministry of Defense, where he met with his Egyptian counterpart, His Excellency General Ahmed Mohammed, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Ministry of Defense and Military Productions, and also the top echelon and service chiefs of the Egyptian military. The visitor inspected a guard of honor mounted by Egyptian Armed Forces. Expectedly, the official bilateral and diplomatic synergy between the host and the visitor revolved around mutual partnership to strengthen existing commitment in the fight against terrorism and other forms of crimes in the continent, especially arms proliferation in the hands of non-state actors who account for transborder crimes, insurgency and threat to national and global peace and unity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And just put it in the case. You put it in one.
The same bench we have a little product here from Nigeria to appreciate what you have done to us and remember that you are once here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
The two defense heads both shared ideas and experiences while in the ministry. General Ahmed Mohammed recognized that Nigeria remains a big brother on matters of defense and military partnership, whose armed forces have demonstrated capacity and leadership in the African and global affairs. As a peer review of each country experiences contending with criminal elements, either as terrorists or insurgents, the two leaders reaffirmed their dedication and focus to win the war against the terrorists and insurgents, while keeping in view the commitment to further work together to achieve common goals either at bilateral or continental level. Beyond the reception thereafter, the Honorable Minister of Defense Mansur Muhammad Ali, in company of his host, visited the cenotaph at the Central Military Zone, Cairo, where they were received by Commander Central Military Zone Cairo, Major General Ahmad Ahmed El Ghazali, and after inspecting a military guard of honor, performed the wreath laying at the Unknown Soldier Memorial as well as the tomb of late Egyptian President Mohammed Anwar el-Sadat. Of equally significant is a short prayer expected in honor of the dead. The Honorable Minister of Defense Mansur Muhammad Ali and his entourage were later treated to an official state reception, where the Egyptian Defense Minister and his team hosted the visitors at the popular Financial Authority House at Al-Masih, Cairo.
Suez Canal.
Yes.
Historic Suez Canal. I know. We read the military history.
And we hope that it will find the place in your office.
هي عجلة رمسيس الحربية ودي تعتبر أول عجلة حربية في التاريخ.
Third, this is the first military vehicle. It's called the Ramses II vehicle, and this is the first military vehicle in history.
Very, very small.
No.
It's honor and privilege to be here. Then it's a small item so that you keep in the office. Remember that once Minister of Defense from Nigeria was here. We have pointed out some of the activities that the Ministry of Defense did under my tenureship in the last 3 years, and we put it in pictures.
فندم يعني هذا فندم هو عبارة عن ملخص للأنشطة التي قامت بها وزارة الدفاع النيجيرية تحت قيادتي خلال ال3 سنوات الماضية.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Another important schedule of the Honorable Minister and his entourage in this sojourn in Cairo was a worthwhile visit to the Ministry of Military Productions. On ground to receive the Minister of Defense is the State Minister of Military Production, Dr. Mohammed Said Al-Assar, and some top military chiefs of the Egyptian Armed Forces.
It is small arms like pistols, rifles with grenade launcher, different machine guns, not only the machine guns or pistols only, but all ammunition of it produced in Egypt.
This resembles AK, or is your own product completely?
Yes.
Not a version of AK-47?
No, it is completely produced in our factories.
100% Egypt.
100%. machine guns, air pressure rifles, anti-aircraft machine gun 23. Yes. Yes. Caliber 40 bayonet. Is the parts from heavy artillery and guns produced in fact 100. They produce the complete gun, but this is the simple parts of this one. This other type of small ammunition produced for small armies with different calibers and usage.
All 100%.
Yes.
Yes.
The Honorable Minister on a guided tour of the military factory by Assistant Chief of the Armament Authority of the Armed Forces of Egypt was conducted around some of the military equipment production lines produced by the ministry.
So this is the silencer. Yes. This is a big caliber pistol, .45.
How many?
Yes, 11. Okay. These are the diving equipments, yes, that are used by, and these are closed circuit rebreather. As you know, sir, no bubbles, no trouble. For the Egyptians, especially. This is the scuba diver equipment. It's called recon robot. You can throw it anywhere.
Yes.
For picking tools, non-magnetic tools. Subram used to open lock doors. Yes.
Operate for the doors, sir.
And this is shield to protect, yes, the team. This is a manipulating grip used to hold the explosive to put it in the bomb basket. This is a blanket, yes, to protect. This is also a suit, complete suit, to decrease the fragmentation and the explosion.
Of course, the tour provided a first-hand knowledge on the production capacity and proficiency of the Egyptian military production factory that has been in existence for decades with experience in the production of military wares.
The important area, technology area inside the building, cutting area which consists from 5 machines, 4 working by plasma and X-fuel, and another one working by laser machine. Another area for shot blast and pen, for extraction and for small parts. And we have huge area also for machining, which consists from 7 machines in this area, green color area, between turning machine and milling machine. The important product inside the building, tank M1A1, Bantum Bridge 7 ton, and also we have guard shield and armored vehicle and I-beam fabrication.
No doubt, the knowledge and experience garnered from the Egyptian military factory model will be useful in the ministry's effort in setting and having the best Nigerian military industry complex in Kaduna. The experienced retired but not tired General Mansur Muhammad Ali was also at the 777 and 999 commando units of a specialized Egyptian forces and was received by the Commander Major General with a practical demonstration of its combat readiness and quick response to emergency situations in line with best practices that meets current challenges.
In the dead zone, all the bullets, most of the bullets are in the dead zone.
خلاص كده خلصنا هنا نخش على يلا بسرعه.
we can see everything around us from our seat here. We can use the small robot that you saw before. Yes, through this joystick, and it appears here on the screen. And this related to the up, and it has a built-in generator.
How far can they reach?
How long? How far? Distance?
1 kilometer.
1 kilometer.
Yes.
These commando units are made up of many organized groups with competence in military maneuvers. It was one visit with many dimensional benefits. Call it a win-win engagement. Expectedly, the exchanges and cross-fertilization of ideas opened a new and additional chapter in Nigeria-Egypt diplomatic ties. More importantly, in the area of military and defense cooperation, in order to provide better leadership for African military prowess in its determination to join global forces to end terrorism and insecurity in the continent and around the world. At the end of the diplomatic outing and upon the return of the Honorable Minister in a similar development, another invitation was extended this time from Nigeria's very neighbors, the Republic of Niger. The Nigerian Minister of National Defense, Mr. Kalla Mutari, invited his counterpart from Nigeria to, among other important state matters, review the security situation on the border area between Nigeria and Niger with a view to addressing the menace of cattle rustling, rural armed banditry along the Niger border region of Sokoto, Zamfara and Katsina states, as well as review the operation of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF. After the formalities of state reception accorded the visitors was put behind, the two-day official visit commenced in earnest with the Honorable Minister Mansur Muhammadan Ali, accompanied by Commander of the MNJTF, Major General C.O. Uday. Dan Ali was granted audience by President Mohamedou Issoufou of Niger at the Presidential Palace in Niamey.
Our states have regularly faced in a supportive and adequate manner the various challenges to the search for peace, security and stability in the sub-region.
Conscient que l'un des moyens privilégiés à la disposition de nos États pour assurer la paix, la sécurité et la stabilité dans la zone demeure incontestablement la coopération sous-régionale dans le cadre de la gestion des frontières.
Conscious that one of the privileged means of our state's disposal to ensure peace, security, and stability in the zone is undisputed sub-regional cooperation in the framework of border management.
On the occasion, President Issoufou thanked President Muhammadu Buhari for providing good leadership in the sub-region, which he said has led to the successes recorded in the fight against insurgency, and also hailed the mutual cooperation between Nigeria and Niger in many fields. In his remarks, Honorable Minister Mansur Muhammadan Ali informed President Issoufou that Nigeria appreciates the cooperation of his country in the Multinational Joint Task Force and other regional alliance that promotes peace, good governance and security in the region.
I am here in Niger for a synergy and bilateral talks with my counterpart, the Minister of National Defense of Niger, especially on matters of insecurity, Boko Haram and armed banditry around border regions of the two countries. And I have come to convey warm greetings of my country to the President of Niger.
Thereafter, the Minister of Defense, Nigeria and Niger, Mansur Muhammadan Ali and Malam Kalla Mutari at Hotel Gawai signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU on joint operations along the Niger border regions with the states of Sokoto, Zamfara and Katsina states, which also includes the establishment of a common border monitoring mechanism. Also brought to the table for upward review, especially as it affects the operation of the Multinational Joint Task Force, were a number of top priorities, which the two countries say are critical to the commitments of both countries. On the front burner for appraisal are 1. Consideration that the border area between Niger and Nigeria and the area of operation of the MNJTF constitute a hotbed of serious and persistent threats for both countries, and as such serves as a favorite spot for the terrorist Boko Haram and cross-border organized crimes. 2. Being conscious that both countries have always invested at all levels to promote peace, security and stability in the sub-region. 3. Recalling that the two countries have regularly faced in a supportive and adequate manner the various challenges to the search for peace and security in the sub-region. 4. That both countries must continue to be conscious of the cooperation in the framework of border management as it remains key to the success so far. 5. Consideration was also given to the extent of both countries' common space to secure the prosperity of the borders within the modest means available to Nigeria and Niger, and the scale of the threats weighing on the whole of the space. 6. They also consider the complexities of the security situation related to the interconnections between the various actors of insecurity. 7. The two defense heads took into account the need for concerted joint action commensurate with the threat to the security and stability of their countries. 8. Emphasis was placed on the importance of stable, safe, and secured borders for the economic and social development of the two countries, especially the border areas. The review also looked at the resilience of Boko Haram. However, at the end of the fruitful engagement between Nigerian Minister of Defense Mansur Muhammad Ali and his Nigerian counterpart Malam Kalla Mutari, the following recommendations were reached. 1. The implementation of a common strategy for the eradication of Boko Haram, which requires constant collaboration and coordination between national forces and the headquarters of the MNJTF. 2. The occupation of the key localities of the land after the reconquest during the operations of the MNJTF. 3. The urgency of starting stabilization in parallel with operations. 4. The conduct of operation along the border with the states of Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina, exploring the possibilities of mutual assistance. 5. The establishment of a common border monitoring mechanism. 6. Holding periodic meetings for evaluation and feedback. After the signing of the MOU was sealed and done, Nigeria's Minister of Defense Mansur Muhammad Ali visited the G5 Sahel headquarters in Niamey, where he received briefing on the operational activities of the center by the Commandant, Colonel Doro Omar. The G5 Sahel, made up of Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, and Niger, is another West African regional bloc coordinating institutional framework for regional cooperation in development policies and security matters, particularly providing anti-terror force for fighting insurgency and trafficking. With all these commitments, it is anticipated that, in no distant future, the agreements reached will translate to improve proficient security and the well-being of citizens of both countries, particularly in states at the border regions, while also promoting more mutual cooperation between the governments of Nigeria and Niger Republic.